everybody, this is Alchemist 2, and I'm back again with another book review. And this one is by Thich Nhat Hanh. It's called How to Fight. And actually, the the title of the book is a misnomer. And I'll admit to you that this is a very clever marketing scheme to get a book out, because the title, if you know anything about Thich's books, you know that they are all about compassion, nonviolence, etc. So seeing the title, I thought, oh, one of my favorite authors has written something else, and he is very much into Buddhism and the Siddharthas and Taoism or the Way, and I'm into that too. I really find it very comforting, and I feel like it's the right way. If I can be so bold to say so. I just think that compassion is very mindful. I believe that it's a good methodology of actually working with our fellow man. And it's funny how he begins the book. It's almost like a manual for living. It is a manual for living. But he begins with notes on fighting itself, and it says that I'm just going to read it because it's so wise. This one's titled Opening the Door. Never in human history have we had so many means of communication: television, radio, telephone, fax, email, the internet, yet we remain islands with very little real communication between us. We cannot communicate. When we cannot communicate, we suffer. We spill our suffering onto other people. We can find ways to open the doors of communication again. And he talks about how fights begin, and it can come, well, that neural pathway turns into a pathway of fear, craving, misunderstanding, and we have to create new neural pathways through becoming more astute as to what your recipient feels. It's always about putting yourself into that other person's moccasins, as the old Indian saying goes. And I thought, yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. And he talks about being still. He talks about being kind. He talks about compassion. He talks about writing peace notes to people who have hurt you, maybe even purposely, and how they angered you, or how he talks about you shouldn't let the sun go down in your anger, which is actually mentioned in the Bible. And I'm a big believer in the word. So, yes, I am a Christian. I will admit to it readily. I'm a Christian that happens to believe in other esoteric works that I've read, and I love just the way that Thich is always mentioning methodology, just different different ways of going about handling certain situations, different problems, and it's very intriguing. It's different, it's unique, it may be considered a little bit counterintuitive to what we as humans would rather do. He mentions in the book our first initial reaction may be to retaliate out of anger, and this is never the way to make a resolution or come to amends. And you have to realize where other people are coming from, and he always talks about this, and it's really fascinating. It's fantastic, and even though it's very short, there are many nuggets of wisdom that it can be mined from this particular work. But I think it's so funny that he titled it How to Fight, and it's just a complete irony of that statement. And it's another really good marketing ploy to get a book out. But I'm glad he wrote it. I'm glad that he has another book out that really makes you think about just our Western way of thinking and capitalism, and how flawed that really is, that just the want to consume and to to have more and more and more, and it just, there's no real satisfaction through it. And the only real peace that we can ever receive is knowing our fellow man, I believe. But I'm gonna have to write that down. Actually, that's a good quote. But but I just think that Mr. Hun has a lot to relay to us in this day and age, and just being mindful and being present. He talks about being present and being just aware. He talks about awareness and how you breathe, and especially when you might be feeling a little bit on edge. But it's just a different way of going about dealing with other people. So that's all I gotta say. So until next time, live long and prosper. Ciao, tutti.